Is there a doctor on board? Now these words uttered by a flight attendant are sure to get anyone's heart racing, especially a doctor's. This is my story. Okay, so before we dive in, it's important to understand how medical training in the US works. Now we do 4 years of medical school, and in the last couple months of your 4th year, between matching to residency, which happens in mid-March, and the end of June, you don't really have that much to do. A lot of students, myself included, we usually take this time for either easy rotations, research rotations, or not having any rotations. And we use that time to travel, because once you're in residency, you don't really have much of a chance to actually travel internationally, enjoy yourself, things like that. So my friends and I, we had created our schedule for our 4th year of medical school such that it was front heavy, so that at the end, we actually didn't have classes that we needed to take. So we decided to travel. And what better place than Bali to celebrate graduating medical school? Now, once you graduate medical school, you have your MD and you're a doctor. And then you have to do anywhere between 3 and 7 years of residency in whatever specialty you choose. Okay, so my friends had left before me and I was catching up. So just me, on the tarmac in this plane, SFO airport. We hadn't taken off yet. And then I hear over the loudspeaker, "Is there a doctor on board? We require your assistance." And I'm sitting there like, I wonder what the medical emergency could be. Since I was not a doctor, I was a medical student, a 4th year med student. I had completed all of my training and it was essentially just waiting until graduation. I was like, you know what? Not a doctor, med student, I'm gonna sit down. This is an international flight. There are hundreds of people on this plane. I'm sure that there is a doctor here that's gonna get up, volunteer, and handle the situation. So I sit there, return to texting or getting excited about this Bali trip. And then a few minutes later, I hear again, "Excuse me, is there a doctor on board? We require your assistance." And now I'm getting a little bit stressed because on one hand I feel responsible, like I should do something, but on the other hand I'm like, well, I'm literally finishing my 4th year. I'm in relaxation chill mode, and what if this is something that I can't handle? What if it's an MI? What if it's, syncope? How am I gonna work this up? Do I remember everything that I need to know to handle such a situation? After about 20-30 seconds of contemplating, I realized that none of that really mattered. There could be someone in need, and I could go up and see if I could help, and if not, not a big deal. So I get up, and I find this group of flight attendants around a bathroom. I'm like, oh man, someone must have passed out. What could this be? All right, what would I do for the workup A, B, C, and D? And I walk up, I say, "Excuse me, I'm not a doctor, I'm a medical student, but what is going on?" Now there was a little bit of a language barrier, so I'm not sure if they understood that I was a med student, not a doctor. But they move me forward, and I see this mother and her daughter. Now guess what the medical emergency could be? Again, the plane is now delayed, we're still grounded, not taken off yet, and we're delayed because of this medical emergency in the bathroom. Let me surprise you. It was a tick. That's right, a tick. So the mother had found a tick on her daughter's thigh. Her daughter was maybe 3 or 4 years old, and the mother was very visibly distressed because of this tick. And she's like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do? We can't take off. We need to take care of this." I'm like, "Ma'am, don't worry. This is, we should be taking a tick off within 24 hours of it first attaching to the patient, just because you want to minimize the risk of any disease transmission, especially Lyme disease. But what's 20 minutes between, doing it right there and then waiting until we take off?" So I calmed the mother down. I explained to her, "Hey, this is not something that's super urgent. We can take care of it as soon as we take off and once the seatbelt sign comes off." So I calm her down, go back to our seats. So I sit down, of course, pull up to date on my phone. I still have reception because we haven't taken off yet. And I take a screenshot of the instructions. Again, it's very simple to remove a tick, but anyways, we take off, we're in the air, and as soon as the fasten seatbelt sign comes off, boom, the mother and the father and the daughter are right by my side, back of the plane, and they're like, "Oh, can you help us now?" I'm like, "Sure." Again, I'm a med student, I'm not a doctor, so here are the instructions. And I pull out my phone, and I show them the screenshot, which was steps 1 through 6, very straightforward, not a big deal. It's like, "Oh, no, you do it." And in that moment, I'm thinking, okay, the Good Samaritan law probably doesn't apply here. We're now flying internationally, I'm not in the States. any malpractice, any liability, is this a good idea? And then I realized, you know what, it's a tick, not a big deal. So we get up, we go to the back, and mom holds on to her toddler, and I grab some tweezers, and again, you gently want to remove the tick. You don't want to separate the head from the body, and you don't want to squeeze out the contents. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Pull it out, Ziploc bag, seal it, done. And that was that. So then the mother and the father are so grateful. They're like, oh, thank you, doctor. I'm like, hey, med student. But oh, thank you. I'm like, really, not a problem. My pleasure. I'm happy I could help out. Take care. And, we had a great conversation. They were in Vermont, which is an area that does have Lyme disease. So I'm glad that we took off the tick. And, and then I'm heading back to my seat. And then the flight attendant stopped me. They're like, oh, thank you, doctor. I'm like, med student. And they were also so grateful. And they like treated me like a celebrity for the rest of the flight. It was hilarious, actually. So first they were serving food, and they gave me extra food just because I had helped this fellow passenger out. They gave me ice cream, just like brought ice cream for me for free. They brought me like alcohol. It was crazy. Free alcohol, free ice cream, just because I had removed a tick. Like, seriously, the easiest thing you can do on an airplane in such a situation, right? I really lucked out. And that was that. So then, we're flying, smooth sailing. I think I arrived in like Tokyo or Taipei, and then from there went to Bali. And I told my friends about this. And my friends were like, whoa, Kevin, someone said, is there a doctor on board? And again, we're all fourth-year med students at this time, like, you got up? Some of them were like, wow, Kevin, you're really brave. Some of the other ones were like, I would never do that. That was foolish of you. What was it? Something you couldn't handle? So a mix of responses. And the main lessons I took were, number one, when I shifted perspective and wasn't really worrying about myself. Because in that moment, that before, I was hesitating, even after they called it a second time for like 20, 30 seconds, I was like, ooh, what if I can't handle this? I'm just a fourth-year med student, not a doctor yet. And when I realized that it wasn't about me, it was about someone who could be having an emergency. Maybe it was something that was way over my head. Maybe my basic ACLS training would not have sufficed, or maybe it was something that I just couldn't handle. That being said, I could help. I wasn't going to make the situation worse. So that's what I told my friends. In this situation, it wasn't about me. It wasn't about, oh, am I a doctor? Am I a med student? No, I'm only a couple months away of completing my requirements. That's not important. What's important is that someone needs help, and I could possibly help because I have the medical training. I have this skill set that not everyone has. So that was number one. Number two, I felt really privileged in that moment to be going into the career of medicine, to be a physician, because the way that you can help people in their times of need is it's a very satisfying and rewarding experience. And not because of the free ice cream or the free alcohol, but it feels good to connect with another person and walk them through a situation where they are distressed, where they're not happy, where they're not in a good place, and help them through that. It kind of comes back to the whole, like, how do you find meaning, purpose, and happiness in life? It has to be something outside of yourself. If you are just constantly seeking, I just want to be happy, you're never actually going to be happy. But if you instead have a mission to help others or provide value in a way that doesn't just focus on yourself, you actually benefit much more. So anyways, that is my story. I feel very privileged to have been able to help someone in their time of need, even if it was something as small as a tick needing to be removed. Really not a medical emergency. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any stories about when you were on a plane and there was a medical emergency, I'd love to hear it down in the comments below. And I will see you guys in that next one.